This is Leviticus part 1. Um, and what I'm going to do is start right from here. And what I'm going to do is, like the title says, look for the first writer's formats. And this is what they look like when you see them cleaned up. Now, excuse me, when I have a forward slash here, I'm changing this word to this word. It's more correctly said. When I change the word that seems to be too far away, well, this one, I guess I should just put out here that I've changed that so much that I needed to add it like this here. So I'm adding that. Other than that, I'll show you what happens when I do some other ones. Now, this from sons to fathers is not a hard understanding to do. Um, oh, I forgot to put the reasons why the blue is being removed because it's just those reasons right there. I've done Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, and I went over every word in every verse and explained why a lot of that crap needs to be taken out of there. But this is generally the rules for all the blue being removed. Now, what I'm going to do here is talk about the word fathers here. It seems that, look, I've studied the text for, since I've been 12 years old, so that's almost, what, gee, I'm getting old. I'm 66 right now, so that's a long time. And I do mean, um, for the last 25 years, I can tell you I put a lot of 10 to 15 hours into the text, and I still am doing at least an average of 3 hours a day, 7 days a week. So, um, yep. The text does not ever tell us who is bringing the offers except a male. And it is about the father's responsibility for what goes on in the family. Okay, so that's why the word father is added here and here. Okay. And this yearling that's being brought from a ram or a goat, from rams or goats, rams are sheep. I've changed it to rams, male dominancy in the text. Male seed is visible, therefore everything should be named after the male at this time in the way they would be writing things. I'm always trying to put the text back into first person the way they wrote it, and I'm also looking for the easiest words to read and understand so a 12-year-old can read the text and never has to open up a secular dictionary to find out what the words mean. Um, it is, though, that the yearling is what's been said in other books. I just went through Deuteronomy, even though there wasn't much of that book. This book even has less of things that aren't being repeated and double speaked and also changed different things. And there are no more offerings except for the sin offering. Okay. That's the whole reason why the tent was made. Everything else is just completely made up over time. You can see them adding more and more to the text to um, example. I'm not going to get in. I'm going to try to get through this. Sorry about that. It's a sacrifice that they're doing to the animal to present their offering. And it is to be without defect. It's not by the doorway, it's by the fence because the tribes actually camped around our Creator's tent for meeting when they traveled, and that is how the priest sat around his tent for meeting, and they approached him, their priest, to do the offering on their altar. And he will not lay but place. I like the word place better than lay. Um, and then they will confess. They're confessing which one of the 12 commandments that they didn't obey, and there's the 12 commandments in case you didn't actually study the text and you've been a liar all your life saying 10. So there they are. But you are to confess which sin that you, or which commandment you are trying to atone for. Okay. Um, so the text is, it'll say atonement or atone. So you have to understand these words are connected to making a sin offering. And here I have to put add text, and this is when I'm adding text completely, making up a whole complete verse because it's missing here, and I'm not really sure exactly what goes on in other books right now off the top of my head. But they're removing the leg muscles and placing them on a plate. Now we know the plates were made, and we know that they've got to get the offering from one place to another, but why just the muscles? And that's because it's a sin offering. And this offering, I will get to a little bit here later, but this is an action. The muscles represent the action of the sin offering, the action of the sin. Um, you have to understand what's going to happen next to this offering, and that is to take their offer to their altar in the front of my tent, not to the doorway. The altars are placed out in front of the tent, and there's actually 13 of them there. In front of my tent is where these are at, and this is our Creator speaking to Moses and telling him what's to happen for the priests to do this sin offerings. And they're going to hang it on hooks. Now, I had to add the word hooks last time because I think that's just missing in the text, but the meat has to be hung on text, or the muscles have to be hung on hooks so they can place wood underneath it. And then they arrange the wood, and then it is to burn up their offering. The male on the outside is now going to see that the offering is going up in smoke, and the smoke is going to dissipate, which is a sign of our Creator is going to forgive them. So you have to understand, it's not a damn soothing aroma. If you've ever smelled burnt meat, it is not something you want to really smell. But if they are poor, because he's going to talk about another offering that has to go up. So I know that a lot of people are going to be poor. So the thing here is not everyone has a ram or a goat. So here's their offering. They're offering a turtle dove or a pigeon. It is still something that sustains them, that it's food that our Creator's offering. But a bird and a pigeon have a lot of action. I mean, they're flying up and down all over the place, but they are a clean bird, and we're going to get into a little bit here. A clean bird eats the grass or the green, okay? And they can eat those animals or those birds. And the priest will kill it because there doesn't say what's going to happen here. So they can't put it on the altar without it flying around. So they have to kill it and then offer it up by fire. Smoke does not do this, okay? So now this text that's going to be removed, they're talking about these a grain offering and maybe some other kind of offering and how it's made. This does not exist. There's nothing that actually ties what the tent for meeting is about. Why is it a meeting tent? It is to be forgiven. Those are to be forgiven the sins. That someone in the household has done. Now, there is going to be a peace offering, and this comes down here. Now, the peace offering, it doesn't really say what it is for, but we'll find out later when Saul is losing the battle against the Amaleks, and he wants Samuel to come and make a peace offering so they can go and kill the Amaleks. So this peace offering is used at a time for war that they have the peace, they will win. So this is what a peace offering is. And we'll find in Samuel does use a lamb. So here, this is the only text that I can find in the earlier books, the first books, that talks about what a peace offering is, as how to offer it up. It is in the middle of a lot of texts that I'm removing. Now, here's something a lot of people don't understand, and that is if a person sins unintentionally, nothing is to be done. Not be done and commits any of them. It needs to be nothing is to be done. Now here it's going to go jump back to the text that says that what to do with what was left of the animal and burn it, and I have to burn it over wood fire. So I had to add the word over. And then the text that didn't have what the priest does after the burning it up. He is to go into the room to meet with him and ask for the atonement for that person. And this is the only place I could find that could really actually say that the priest is to ask for their forgiveness. See, it says make an atonement, but you have to ask for this. So, and where is it asked? It's in his meeting room with him. So then their priest has to come in, because if not, they are to be removed from the nation, from the promised land, just kicked out and sent away. The whole family, okay? So our Creator kept cleaning out evil people that were not obeying Him. Uh, this is going to go on quite a bit because there's so much that gets taken out. And now there's going to be rules of what kind of animals you can't eat or not eat. Cut off is to remove from my people. So here, when I just said that if they go in and our Creator does not forgive them, they're to be removed from the nation. Well, this here, if they're doing it for an animal that they're eating blood of the animal and the bird, so they're removed from my people. Okay, it says his people, but it's actually my people. Our Creator is speaking. So here, if this actually look, two these are known as psalms, and two of them hooked together actually make a larger paragraph, a small paragraph and then a larger paragraph. And it's rare to see these connect together. Well, it's not that rare to see these connect together. So I know that this is truthful when I'm going through the text. And see, this is talking about the sin offering, and it's not correct. That is not what they've done. There's just so much, and you're supposed to wash certain parts. You're supposed to put kidneys out there, the lobe of the kidney. This is just absolutely untrue. That there is nothing to do with the sin offering. Okay, these are all made up by corrupt priests and scribes, adding this into the text. And I believe a lot of this didn't get put into the text until there was corruption towards the end of the kingdom of Judah. Now, it might have started when Israel was removed, but a lot of this text that you see is been added long after they were really supposed to. And they're trying to actually make themselves rich and get food to eat, because in here it says it's made for the priest to eat, which is completely wrong. And a lot of this is like a doubling of what you can eat and what you can't eat. And here's about the insects that you can eat. And notice how there's 3 verses that hook together, don't have a fourth. Then again, we have a lot of rules that our Creator is going to talk about. And I needed to add the word priest. Now, this is going to be circumcision, and I'm adding the word the priest's tent because nakedness is not to be seen. So at circumcision, there has to be a tent for the priest to take the boy into and then do circumcision. So there's no line at that tent because I think I don't know what of the 4 books when Jesus is around that somebody says a prophetess Anna, a female, is in line behind circumcision, and once you understand the rules and regulation, you'll be able to spot a lot of the oversalted words in the text. Now, this is going to start talking about leprosy, and there's a whole bunch that goes through leprosy. I didn't do it in this book, but in our Creator's Hidden Formats, I go through and I do dig out exactly all this text, so don't think it's lost. What I'm doing here is using this as a reference, and this is about stuff that happens in the house that causes disease in the house. I did that as well. So the only thing is I just didn't do it here. It wasn't worth the time to go through it when I already know it's already been done. And my books that this is going to be done is only needed as a reference book. Because I absolutely going to point to a few things in here that are not in the other book. And now that I've dug them out here, I will be going through the rest of the books of our Creator's Hidden Formats, just like I'm doing here. But those I'm going to go through every bit of the text of the 20, I think, 4 books that I've done. No one will approach a person to uncover their nakedness. Now, I'm pretty sure this is in another book, but it popped up here, so I put it in here. And all this is just saying the same thing as this right here. So this here is not to marry with animals. So the thing here is I know this is already done in a book, and it's a little bit better in that than here. And I think it's going to be mentioned again, like another doubling of the text that like I put up the reasons. And I'm using the word edges, not just the corners. It's the edges. When they're sewing, they're not like what you see today of professional lines and every machine be able to pick everything up. You got to understand a lot of sewing was done by just scattering it out. So it was to the edges. Do not cause trouble, not curse, but trouble for the deaf. The deaf can't hear you, so it's the trouble. So what about why would you curse them? They can't hear. So it's just stupid. It's just don't trouble the deaf or their place a stumbling before the blind. These are just some more laws that are being put into the text here. And um, I'm just looking at the time. I think I'm going to get all this in one video, which is surprising me right now. You're slandering anyone, not gossip, but slandering. Gossip is bad enough, but slandering somebody in your words is different than just gossiping. I feel gossiping is your question. Have you heard this? What is this? Is that possible? Is this true? But you going out and actually saying it's that and you don't have the proof, that's slandering. Again, just more laws that are stuck here. and this is going to be about do not trim your beard and no cuts on the body or tattoos, which a lot of Christians out there have those. They really don't know that. And this, with any cuts to your into your body, I had to put into. That one now includes piercing. They had piercings at that time because they have what they called nose rings back then. So the thing here is I know that will come up in another book that our creator says he didn't like. But it depends on when the text was wrote, and then later he might have added more to the text, or as commands, that they started copying other things and just people doing stupidness with their body. Our creator made you. Don't even comment on whether a person is ugly. You're not to judge our creator's work. Here the text is talking about residing in your land. Absolutely not. There were to be no strangers in the land. Nobody. Nada. It was for Israelis only that were obeying our Creator to the fullest to be a righteous nation and show the world that they can be a righteous nation unto our Creator because our Creator is setting them up as a nation. There is nobody. These strangers don't reside in it. Now, like I said, later as they start falling away, our creator might have added some of these type of rules. But the object is that the time, the past going into the promised land, this is no, it's, but that highway, like I said, was traveled for uh, now probably 5,000 years. At that time, probably 2,000 years, maybe 3,000 years. So they were always going to pass through the land. So, um, now this is, I wanted to point out because when Jesus talks about not knowing that what a commandment is, and he says that if you curse your father and mother, you know the commandment. If you kill your, curse your mother and father, you are to be put to death. This seems to be way back here in the text, but this is here, but that isn't a commandment. So the thing here is this text is not going to be in the final text. But I just wanted to point it out so when I point out to people that hey, I do know that we have text that Jesus they could point to and say, well, this is really what he meant. They got Jesus saying too many stupid things. And here's this again, having sex with animals. And like I said, it's better done in a different place there. Um, I should grab those verses and so I know where they're at. Anyways, they aren't ordinances, they are commands, statutes and commands. Now, commands would include commandments. Statutes are his highest and most important. And one of them is circumcision, and another statute is celebrating his passing over. Those two are most important. Now, is there another statute? Yes, it's for the priests only, though, and how they are supposed to be anointed before they go in and service or do the service of um, offering up their sin offering. And here he will not spew you out, but he will not remove you. So spew you out, that's like, that's, I have to put remove you. I will not remove you. And this is his promise. I think this is the only words that we're going to have that talk about why he's going to kick them out of the land and send them into captivity. And this is it right here. I believe this is the only one. I think I've done all the first 5 books now, or maybe the first 6. But the thing here is I know this is, when I seen it, I was like, here it is, finally. So, again, this is about if they don't obey him, they're going to remove them from their land. Let me see here because I'm pretty sure a lot of this is just going to be, um, this is all just made up. And I don't know if I need this text yet, because it didn't fit the format, because these words grouped together. So this is out here. And could I make it a 3-verse? I guess I'll have to force it later. But the way it sounds to me when I'm reading this is just a continuing of what's going above that. It's talking about the land and how you're going to possess it, how it gets passed off to inheritance. You can't sell it. You can't do this or that. You have to you can, I guess I will get to that here in a little bit. Okay, and now this is going to be the year of Jubilee, or at the end that there's a Jubilee that you will count 7 years. Now this is kind of odd, okay, because I know a lot of people, it's going to go over people's head. Our Creator started the first year when they left Egypt. It took 3 years to get to the Promised Land. Now they're supposed to count 7 years. Or are they going to count it from uh, the year that they left Egypt? I don't know. I would like to think that it starts at the time they leave Egypt, but the text does not say that. Okay, so I'm just saying that yes, I know that there's a flaw here, or the text is missing um, to define this answer as did they have a different way of counting for these years. Now, when it says over all your land, I'm taking it from down here and putting it up here. And then I've had to add this. Now, when they count by 7 days, and then you can see maybe 5 of them equals a month, and it doesn't finish up correctly. So it's on the 10th of that last count before the new year, the summer solstice, which is, they would know that they're going to start blowing the horn and everybody is to be released from their work prisons. Okay. It's the proclaim of a releasing throughout the land for all its inhabitants. Well, it's not really um, its inhabitants, it's those from work prison. And then they're to return to their own property and return to their family. And then down here, everyone will return the owner their land, meaning that, like, if they couldn't have paid their debt off, the wealthier could have brought in people and had them work the land to help pay off their debt while he's sitting in prison learning a lesson he's not supposed to borrow that he can't fulfill. They can't just confiscate his land. They can go and work it, and then they can come back and they can, now it's back to them and they're released. But you cannot do no wrong to the land and cause problems. And because down here you are to not wrong one another, you are to fear me. Our Creator is speaking these, so had to use the word me. The land will not be sold permanently, for the land is mine. Okay. And this is kind of the words down here that he may return to his property is where I borrowed some of the idea of what's going on up above. In here, it's talking male and female slaves. Now, this you definitely know would have been at a different time that they would have added it. Because when people start getting corrupt, they didn't obey all his commands, but they were not supposed to bring people in from other nations. They are not to be on the land, plain and simple. But you can see that if it started falling away, then they made this rule up saying our Creator said this, and they put it in the text. it's kind of like corrupt people writing laws for other people and not obeying the law themselves. I think I'm going to get to the end because, yep, that's the end. Now, I'm going to jump right into this text. This is the text that's cleaned up now, and I have it sectioned off. Oh, I haven't put the letters here yet. This will be A. But what I did was I grouped them, and then I did move a few verses around. And then what I'm doing here is just, I'll do this later to finish it up. But these are small little pieces that popped up. You've seen how much and scattered it was in between. But it was that I'm putting it and getting it ready because I'm going to end up having to start with one book that really has a really good outline and then say from all these other books, these pieces need to go fit in. So the way I'm going to do that is by using it, what book it came from and what letter or number from like this finished up, cleaned up book. So that's how I'm going to denote that. Now here I did, when I was reading it, I knew that those needed to be placed here to make sense of what was going on without these in the middle here. So then when it comes to eating food, you can see that these are grouped together as groupings. Okay, these are groupings is the way I've done this because um, I know when he's going to talk about circumcision again, uh, that is separate from when he's talking about what you can eat and what you can't eat. And then there's going to be a bunch of these that are, I've showed you in Deuteronomy and Numbers. They're just little bits all over the place. So I think some of these will finish up or combine to be these two, like this, where there'll be two together to make that. Because you can see there's one and then there's missing. So that's what I've done here. And that's just, I'm still leaving this as a note. I still don't know what to do with it. But that's the Jubilee, and that's the end of this text. So that will be the end of Leviticus, and then you'll see me gather those books together later. Thank you.